Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna get ready to get started with our meeting. Welcome to the City of District Heights. It's Tuesday, October the 24th, 2023. This is the City Commission work session, and it is 7:06 p.m. And I call the meeting to order. Next agenda item is approval of the agenda. Could I get a motion to approve the work session agenda for October 24th? 2023? Sure. Jennifer.
I, Commissioner Janifer, to approve the work session agenda for October 24th, 2023.
Could I get a second?
Commissioner Gomez seconds the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Thank you for that. Next one is public participation. Do we have any forms for public participation?
None submitted, Mayor.
So action items. So we have the approval of the September 12th, 2023 work session meeting minutes. And then we have the approval of the October 5th, 2023 city meeting minutes. And then we have the contract amendment accounting services. So on number 3, contract amendment, David, did you want to speak on that before we call for the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm happy to provide some information on that. That is essentially letting the commission know that the 1-year original contract for our county services is getting close to being done. We are not prepared, given where we are in the audit process and the budgeting process, to do anything with that other than extend it. Under normal circumstances, what we would do is evaluate that for rebid or extension for a greater amount of time. What you have in front of you now gets us through audit as well as budget development and closes out their initial agreement at the end of the current fiscal year, so June 30, 2024.
Any questions from the commission? So could I get a motion to approve the 3 consent agenda items?
Commissioner Gomez moves that the city commission approve the consent agenda for October 24th, 2023.
Could I get a second?
Commissioner Collins, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Thank you for that, Commissioner. So we're gonna move around a couple of agenda items, and number 7 will now be the first item that we will have in discussion, and that's the legislative initiative, local land use. And David, you want to start that off?
Yes, ma'am, and I'll just make sure that we have our lobbyist, Tony Perez, on conference call. You should be able to hear us as well as speak and be heard in the room.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes,
Perfect. All right, so I'm just going to give you a brief introduction into this. Normally, what we would do is bring you a more complete legislative package once the General Assembly session opens. However, an issue of pretty high importance to municipalities in Prince George's County has come up sort of in the discussion in the pre-filing process, and that is local land use. Just to give you a little bit of background, about 10 years or so ago, a bill was introduced that would effectively authorize local governments of Prince George's and Montgomery County to control their own land use decisions. Right now, as you know, those land use decisions are governed by plan for a large variety jurisdictions. So the city does not, in fact, have control over its own land use, zoning, et cetera. It sounds like, and Mr. Perez can lend more credence to this, but it sounds like there may be some interest in reintroducing a version of this prior bill. And if so, he and I both believe firmly that the commission should take a position on it in either support or not. You have a couple of points of consideration with respect to supporting it. The first bullet is the city doesn't really have a whole lot of direct input over its long-term or comprehensive planning in terms of land use. So I know that the city has had prior experiences with different types of businesses and developments moving in that are perhaps against the development pattern the commission would like to see. We don't really have a lot of control over that as it sits today. You are also not empowered to do anything with the zoning districts that the city is currently subject to. Again, that's dealt with by another governmental entity. You can influence them to a certain extent, but they are not a zoning decision or zoning ordinance adopted by the city of District Heights. So you have to. You also are not able to make quasi-judicial decisions in the land use or legislative process. So, for example, a new property owner comes in and wants to rezone or do some new development on some parcels within the city. You have no say. That decision goes elsewhere. In addition, and most importantly related to the economic development initiative you just launched, was that you do not have the ability to leverage land use decisions or policy to spark the kind of economic growth that you would like to see in the city's commercial corridor or potential to redevelop the residential core. So you have a couple of options that you could take. You could adopt a position supporting the general initiative of local land use control in Prince George's County. You could wait and see what actually gets filed and then take a position on the actual bill. Or you could decide not to take a public position with this. And then I'll turn it over to Mr. Perez if he'd like any other comments to add.
Good evening, Mr. Perez.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the commission. I second everything that Mr. Street brought before you. As he stated, this is in the pre-file stage, so there's not actually a draft of a bill yet. But it seems as though, as Mr. Street made clear that this has been put before state government. This is a state bill, not a state local bill. Let me be clear. This isn't a bill that's going before the county council. This is the state representatives that put this bill in. And this bill does not, I've heard things that people may be concerned that, it could be can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
There could have been some concern if this was about the county. This isn't about the county. I think we see this as a opportunity for municipal government, because I think sometimes people forget that we're a municipal government and not a homeowners association. I've heard that one as well. But where you have an opportunity that hasn't happened in over the past 10 years, where you've had this type of opportunity to get your own authority. And I think for tonight, I would agree with what Mr. Street is saying, for your own benefit. This would give you an opportunity to put you in a position, let me say this, where if you did some type of resolution, it would give you an opportunity to say you support the concept. And again, like Street stated clearly, is that we'll come back and once the bill has been drafted and bring it back before you. But these opportunities don't come along. I know with some municipal governments say, hey, we're too small, we can't do it. Instead of, I always say, instead of throwing in the towel, take the chains off yourselves and don't become enslaved, this process, because you need to have a voice and say so on what goes on in your government. And I think it's bigger than a seat at the table. It gives you an opportunity to establish the relationships that you want to establish with the city with your economic development plan and create growth opportunities. So this is a concept for now that I think will obviously work in favor of municipalities if passed. Now listen, it's not going to be an easy lift. I think if you, once we're in on it, they need to make sure municipalities, I don't know if all 27 will come together on it, which will be fine, but your position is your position. Some asking questions about it. I haven't heard exactly no, but I haven't heard, something, but it's not, we're not concerned about that in district base tonight. We're concerned about what you want to do as a body to grow your city. And if you're going to bring economic development, it makes it much simpler when you have a voice in the process or you're not waiting. And I'll just give you all an example. I represented the county, Prince George's County Council for 9 years before I walked away last year and moved on to other things. And I appreciate all those years that I had. But one of those years, there was a municipal bill called the fence height. It was about fence heights and municipalities. One municipality wanted to put it in, but the problem was the council had to be juggling because some municipalities crossed over each other because they couldn't run their councilmatic districts. So the problem was like you can't have a fence this high in Sea Pleasant and another height in Capitol Heights. So some things kind of come just to use those two areas just to give you a description of what that could look like. So it was one municipality that put it in, and I remember we went back. But the thing is, as the lobbyist for the council, I had more power than the lobbyists for the municipal government. Not that they were bad, they were good lobbyists, very good lobbyists. But the thing is, when I told the House to hold the bill, they don't, because we had all the authority. See, so when you don't have your authority, you actually become, you're in a different position. You don't really have a voice in the process. So this would at least give municipal governments one that opportunity to have the opportunity. So I know you have a long meeting, so I'll shut up from there and just tell you I think it's an opportunity. In my opinion, it's an opportunity for the city, and I'll take your recommendation and do what you direct me to do.
Thank you for that, Mr. Perez. Any questions or concerns from the commission? Sure, Commissioner Maurice.
Thank you, Mr. Perez and Mr. Street for outlining this pre-bill. I do think this would be a great opportunity for the city, especially as we are moving forward with our economic development initiatives. This would give us the authority to curate what we want our commercial district to look like. How many conversations have we had here when we're looking over a business application that we know?
So I got my papers. I can't get clarity about that question. I apologize. I couldn't hear.
Okay, no, I'll speak a little louder. There's so many times where we don't approve of the businesses that we know are going on private. Land use authority would bring some of that power back to us as the folks who live in this community to make those decisions for the future. I think it would be a great thing for us to support as a municipality. I do wonder, and Mr. Perez mentioned that some other municipalities are also in discussion. Would this be something we would bring up to PGCMA to support as a unit? But I think it would be a great idea for us to support it at the very least as a municipality.
If I may.
Sure.
I think it is an appropriate topic for PGCMA. Although I do think it is also appropriate for the city to make its position clear. So I think they're not mutually exclusive. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Gomez, and I think your comments is fine. I do think in this situation, you do have to make, I agree with Mr. Street, you have to make your position very clear and go to PGCMA. I think it's going to be somewhat of a battle over there. some I don't individually represent PGCMA, and I think there's a little push in our, our committee to kind of, delay it. The best thing we can get out of PGCMA, I think, is going to be, if we get a majority, great, but probably no position, because you don't want to hold back. It's interesting, because on our call last week, Laurel said they're the only ones with zoning authority in all 27 municipalities, and they are thriving. The only thing we have to worry about with them is protecting what they have. So they are supportive of this for others, because they understand what it does for municipal government and the type of relationships that you can develop outside of what everyone else has to develop for. I mean, you get at this point, and Mr. Cree, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, for instance, I'm talking about development. Why don't you create your own relationships with developers? As you go through your process, you get to talk to them and find out what it's all about. So you can clearly state what's going on in the community as it stands at the council when things go before district council. And this is what got one of our council members, a lot of our council members, not just one, a lot of them, when you go through the council. Once that process starts, it's a certain time that council member can't speak on the issue because it's district council and it's legislative council, right? So sometimes what you see when you say, well, why did the council member tell us about it? Because they can't speak on it. Because they're now sitting in district council when that project, you're sitting as, now in this case, 11 sitting judges. So they don't comment on it. Some people may go further. I'm not going to speak on because of who does it. But I know it was in the past. And I've seen a lot of council members get beat up over trying to do the right thing, trying to bring the right thing, but trying to tell their community, I can't say certain things because it's already in a certain position, and I have to be objective in the process. Now you get a chance to not worry about that. You get to create your own opportunity and how you structure it in your government, because I want, I think it needs to be made clear as whatever you decide to make your case, that you are a governing body. I think that's very important because I do believe, that some people, that gets lost sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, what Mr. Perez says is spot on, but I'd like to add some more context, and he hit on it. When you're considering these sort of legislative applications that you see come through at the county level, they're sitting as basically a quasi-judicial body that's making decisions on both the zoning ordinance as well as a policy setting body, that it's comparing the merits of an application to their long-term or comprehensive plan. The underlying part of that is they had say in the policy decisions that were implemented as part of that comprehensive planning process. So they're making those decisions impartially, as Mr. Perez correctly points out, but it's based off of their own work and iteration of the body's policy direction over the long term, which is also something you don't have the ability to set as it sits today.
Are there any other questions and concerns from the commission? You want to, Commissioner?
Mr. Perez, I'm wondering what is the potential opposition to this bill that we should be thinking about?
That's a great question. Because I haven't seen it, I can't really tell you, but I would say, I think we will probably get pushback from the county council because you're taking some of their authority by giving your sales authority. That's a very strong possibility that could happen. But if you remember, and I'm not here to pound on the council, so let me be clear about that. But if you remember last year, they put in a bill to the state that I brought before this commission that basically would have given a person from Acton-Keek, if you wanted a project in District Heights to build, a person in Acton-Keek could say, hey, you don't have enough trees, there's gonna be a traffic problem in District Heights, so maybe they shouldn't have that municipal center. Or they put in a permanent bill that can limit your permits, which means if you wanted a new building, you may not get that permit because they don't have enough. If they would have passed this other piece, they just put it in at the local level. So what I'm saying is I know I had to say those things just to clarify. would be something that I think that while it seemed like, in my opinion, would give you pushback in this process. But, you know, look, your state, it's in their hands with this legislation. So it's a matter of what they're gonna do. So it's gonna take everything the municipal government. There's been some, and I know I didn't speak on this because Jay Davis was very clear in Greenville, you know, they support it. You know, who he's out there, who he has to put the bill in. So, you know, they understand they got a lot of development. You know, some things were almost put on hold because of the local legislation that was put in. So people are concerned. That was the feedback I received from why this legislation may have come to be. So there's some that say they can't afford it, but I'm sure the legislator that they can figure it out and how to make it work to give people opportunities. You know, well, they'll figure it out. If you always say do, but it's not going to be easy. It did pass 12 years ago, but I mean, in 2012, but now it's a new day. Let's see if it's going to be something different. But it's going to be a heavy lift. It won't be easy. So if we're going to take a position, not a very strong and firm position, even within other municipalities, not to create a war amongst municipal governments, because we need to be united in this, but just to kind of work through it. And I think they know as I get more information, my goal is to make it more palatable for the municipal governments, because especially you, of course, but we want to make it palatable if they don't want it, you know, then maybe they can figure out how it works for them. So sometimes put them in a position where they don't have to say no, right? But it doesn't hurt them, and that's what I mean by that.
So do we have any other questions or comments? And if not, are we ready to move on adopting a resolution in the statement of support of local and land use authority?
I'm gonna make a comment. I don't want to be repetitive of what has already been said, but I see this resolution as win-win and a positive benefit for the city. We would absolutely like to have more control over who's going to be doing business in this city and this community. So I would think that, I know that this would be a huge benefit to us. I mean, I'm appreciative that Mr. Perez has said that this is going to be a heavy lift, but I don't think anybody in the city here is afraid of a little bit of work and getting a little bit of mud, but I think that at the end, this is going to be a great benefit to the city, to be able to make decisions like that.
So am I hearing, Commissioner Tillman, comfortable adopting the resolution?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm in support. Yes, I agree with my colleagues here and think that this is the best step for the city.
So you're welcome. So, so item, number 7, there is a motion. And, I would like to put the motion out. Who would like to take the motion?
I too. I'd like to take it then. I, Commissioner Gomez, move, my goodness. I, Commissioner Jennifer, know who you are. Move that the city commission adopt resolution 23-06 statement in support of local land use authority as provided in attachment 1.
Could I get a second? All in favor? Aye. 4-0, the motion passes. Thank you for that, Mr. Street and Mr. Perez. Helping to educate our residents and have the opportunity to get them to understand the positions that we are in when we are trying to grow our city. And since we purchased those three parcels, we do want the best makeup for our city, and we do not want other entities coming in and trying to fit into our scope of what our vision would be for our city. So, thank you, commissioners, for voting in support of that. David, I don't know why you sat down, but you would be able to talk from there. Mr. Perez, I mean, you're welcome to stay on,
I
but.
hung up on him, I apologize.
uh,
I hung up on him, I apologize.
Oh, no, that's okay. I didn't want him to feel like he had to stay on. So the next item is actually the revised recreation fee and membership structure, Mr. Jeffrey Taylor. So you do get a little break, David.
Although I will note that the agenda is at your discretion, so you can come back up.
All right.
Madam Mayor, Commission, residents, just want to briefly share. Just want to share briefly a couple of opportunities for the city. As has been shared in other meetings, the Recreation Department is close to implementing a web-hosted software system for managing all things recreation. What that kind of means is that we are working with RecDesk, and RecDesk is a web hosting site for program management. So on the administrative side, it'll be us behind the scenes pouring in some of the things I'm gonna share in a couple of seconds. Things like prices, forms, information, and then on the public facing side, it'll be where our members will be able to sign up for programs, register for classes, et cetera, et cetera. What you may have on this slide here are the membership prices. So what we're getting ready to do is offer membership prices for all residents and guests. And what you have here is several categories for our memberships. And what we did to collect these prices is measure other recreation facilities and other for-profit facilities, like some that we are close to right now. So we wanted to make sure we weren't overpricing, and we didn't want to underprice so much that, it wouldn't show the all of the things that we have to offer here. So we have several categories from the single, family. We have a category for school-age superstars for our youth. That's elementary, middle school, and high school kids. And then we have our active seniors. And then we have a couple of programs, including an employee wellness opportunity for our employees here. But yes, they all come with a nominal fee for the services. And what I was hoping to share today, not only the prices and the categories, but to answer any questions about this opportunity. The second sheet is the court and facility rentals. The Recreation Department is starting to add the opportunity for members and guests in the community to utilize our space here. And when you see after court rentals, it's not just basketball. Our courts will be divided up in halves. If you want to rent half the court, it'll be an A section and a B section. And the court rentals can be for racket sports, volleyball, tennis, meetings, small group gatherings and things like that. And these fees for the court rentals, let me finish. And then of course there's a full court option if you want to pay a higher rate and use the entire court. And then of course I listed here our facility rental prices again to give you guys an opportunity to compare. So of course the facility rentals, we have our hourly rates, and then we of course have our 8-hour private event rates. So what you see here is the opportunity, again, for people to utilize our court as a opportunity to rent from us. And we have competitors nearby that are offering similar program offers. to the community. So our pricing is based off of their listings. We collected that data and poured that into this information here. And where we are is right in line with our competition. Start to adjust the pricing afterwards. And again, the great thing about RecDesk is that on the administrative side, we can adjust these prices here and it will instantly upload to the public facing side. So what we're doing now is just pouring in all our pricing. And what you see here are just the offers for the memberships and the facility rentals. But we also are putting in our classes, programs. If you want to buy a t-shirt in the future, everything will be in the system. Again, I think it's a great way we're moving from how we engage the public as they enter the recreation department. They got to sign in, and we'll be able to go to even having a key card if they want to have that option. You can sign up from your phone for programs, classes, events. So there's a lot of flexibility we'll have. And the best thing is that we'll be able to track everything accurately and more effectively. I'll stop here to answer any questions. Like I said, this will be a brief report.
So it's just a discussion and then we'll.
Yes,
We'll do that later.
yes.
At a later date.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Thank you so much, Mr. Taylor, for this presentation. And I'm happy to see these things moving along. The memberships, are those monthly costs or is that a one-time fee?
They are monthly fees. This is each month.
Okay, great. I think the prices are, you've done your market research, the prices are online and they're affordable. So that residents can still enjoy coming to use facilities at an affordable cost, but to do, incur a little bit of revenue from that, which is always a good thing. So I do think those prices look good. That was very much.
Any, questions from the commission?
Yeah. But
I wanted to ask, first of all, what is PEP 30?
oh, that's a personal exercise program. It's our way of, some people may not want the membership, but we'll still have a way of engaging them. So this is our way of having a program. It's for 30 days because it's 1 month. And then that way you can come in and get a taste of all that we have on. And that we will use this opportunity to engage them to sign up to become a member. One thing about the membership that I like to add, it'll have incentives that will, entice the community to sign up for membership instead of just trying to access just the classes. So there'll be discounts here, early registration for our events. So there'll be some plus to becoming a member, and we'll make sure we structure it so that they can see and feel the incentive.
So the PEP 30, is that a one-on-one or is that a part of a small group that you join? Is that a one?
It's a one-on-one, and actually it's like a do-it-yourself program. So we have, Mr. Blake is professional training. So he has a workout card that will go on the RecDesk system. And they can literally make the, instead of coming here and signing up and using the workout card while they're in here, they can also use that workout system and so they can track their workout. So it's a way to engage people on their exercise program before even becoming a member.
So this is what, the fees and, all of the, single family, all of that's gonna be on our website. Are you also planning to put some of the classes that, folks outside of the city, like, Mr. Kojak, is that gonna go on here? And I know he has separate fees as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, we're putting everything we charge for into the web-based system. Some people can sign up from home. They'll be able to pay in advance. There's a lot of positive to it. And what we're leveraging is we have a unique, wonderful facility here. unlike the competition round. So we think about a normal gym, I'm trying not to name names here, but at the same time, if you think about it, they may have a bigger space, but they don't have the outdoor facilities that we have. Someone may have just the outdoor facilities, but not a gym. Or they may have the gym and the outdoor facilities, but not a fitness center. So we kind of have three great things that we can leverage, not just for exercise, but again, that's where the court rentals come in, where you can also utilize the space for meetings. Again, we even have a VR setup. If you want to rent the virtual unit, and we have the dividers, and that way you can use the virtual equipment. And of course, that would be like a court rent as well. So it's our way of expanding the same space without, of course, growing in that space at the same time. So it's our way of utilizing the space and making it a marketable space for all things that can be done in a gymnasium space.
So we have a lot of reading to do on this packet.
That's it.
Commissioner, you had a question, Commissioner Tillman?
Well, more like a comment. Two things. One, I'm excited that recreation is moving into this digital era. And, you know, I think it's a long time coming. And, you know, I want to say you guys rock. And I'm proud of the recreation department. You guys had an exceptional year. But the second thing is I'm not really not feeling the whole $5 for employees. So, you know, we need to make sure our employees are well incented to work here and work here and exercise here. So I think that $5 need to be zero. That's my only recommendation because that's a benefit, you know, for them to, you know, work here is the thing they can use our facilities.
So we talk $5 if they don't use it.
Okay.
It's good. Good idea.
Yeah. They don't use it.
I mean, this thing, as a side, I see all you working out and exercising. All right, so
Yeah,
y'all are already leading by example.
we just need to get our bathroom showers downstairs. That would be the greatest success for staff. Dave, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just two things. I'm happy to look at adding a no-cost membership as part of a broader wellness program. However, my experience with these things in the past says that if we offer a no-cost component for employees to our gym and exercise facilities that we're otherwise charging for, the employees are incurring a taxable fringe benefit equal to the cost of what a resident or whatever would pay to access the facilities. So there's not really a way around that, although I am willing to explore seeing if we can do something with respect to paying.
We're not gonna keep beating this up because we do have time to review and we can come back with our comments. So we're not gonna hold up tonight's meeting with this $5 fee, okay?
And quickly, I wasn't sure if you guys received the entire package. What you all now have is like the recreation book. So you now have everything that we are doing and planning to do. So please take your time, and of course, like you always do, help us out where you see gaps, please.
Okay. So, David, are we looking at putting it on the agenda for next month or
Let's come back to the next work session.
to the next work session? All right, thank you. Oh, somebody else had
We got a motion for it.
oh, we have a motion. Oh, I thought we were reviewing.
You can, the motion simply forwards it to Dazer, but you're not obligated to accept the motion.
Okay,
Otherwise, we'll just schedule it.
yeah, we'll just schedule it. We won't do it for the next work session. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the next agenda item is economic development municipal growth area review, David Street.
Excellent. All right, thank you very much, Mayor and Commissioner. So what this is a continuation on the municipal growth area that we started some work sessions back. Just to remind those listening from home, the commission, should it wish to annex areas into the city, needs to define a municipal growth area that tracks the pattern of growth for the municipality in the next 5, 10, 20, 25 years. The commission previously, if I could direct your attention here to figure 1, considered a starting point of 4 potential growth areas. You took a deeper dive in the September 26th work session into what we have been calling growth area A in our pipe, which you can see in figure 2 of the packet. And you asked for a couple of refinements. So I'd like to walk through the refinements that the commission requested before I pause for questions. The first refinement that was requested was bringing the western boundary in a little bit so that it follows an approximate curve. You can see my cursor here of Marbury and down. That reduces the overall size by a handful of parcels, and most notably excludes North Forestville Elementary and Ritchie Road. I further, for the commission's consideration, subdivided this area also upon your request to look at. The first area can be found as figure 4A, Mason and Marlboro. So one of the things that the commission asked for was, within this potential growth area, a look into the communities that were more or less split up because of an arbitrary boundary line for the city. This is a great example. You can see that arbitrary boundary line on Rossland and Wintergreen, cutting diagonally across both of those neighborhoods. This essentially takes Mason north to Marbury and incorporates those neighborhoods. So it's about 48 acres, about 1.5 miles of linear roadway, somewhere in the low 400s in terms of residents, and no real commercial or civic uses, although I will point out that there is a playground here where my cursor is toward Marbury. The second area is immediately south and runs between Mason and Marlboro Pike. These are homes that are not necessarily split off from neighborhoods in the city, but follow the same development pattern. Most of these folks, for example, have district heights addresses, but are not in the corporate city. Again, this is about 90 acres, about 2.5 miles roadway, 300 some odd homes. Higher number of residents due to inclusion of an apartment complex, and a handful of larger commercial uses along. 4C shows Boone's Lane and Whitney Place. This is another example where neighborhoods are split, particularly up by Lansdale, Loring, and Ibbets. You have the front side of the street, which is in the city, and their neighbors to the rear are not in the city. This also includes a number of apartment complexes. It's comprised of about 85 acres, about 3 miles, linear miles of roadway. Again, about 150 homes. We also have a larger apartment complex here. It's about 895 residents and a number of commercial uses along Marlboro Pike. The final area in growth area A is termed McNamara and Calvary, named for high school and church site, which dominate the landscape found in figure 4D. Again, approximately 48 acres, just about a mile of public roadway, not a significant number of homes, a pretty healthy chunk of commercial and civic use. So I'll stop there to answer any questions that you might have about the subdivided growth area.
Any questions?
Just one quick one.
Yes.
So this, this 4C, is that pretty much where the 7-Eleven is, like right there? On that side by the District Heights, like Avenue, like that's what you're talking about?
Yes, I believe that does incorporate that site. I believe it's right here.
No.
Or further down, I'm sorry, it's further down.
No.
Oh,
Yes.
The apartment complex behind it and the house is behind, like backing up a lot.
Maybe Lauren Drive.
But it's saying like the District at Forest, isn't District at Forest that apartment complex right there?
This is Forestville, yes. This is District of Forestville.
And it's right next to, the field.
Correct. So the northern part of the site here, dominated by single-family homes, similar to what you would see in the city. This is the apartment complex, right? And sorted commercial uses.
And then number 689, that's their building, Whitney Place.
Back here.
Modern, Whitney Place.
And this is, I mean, all of this is the inner circle. The inner,
Correct.
okay,
This is Marlboro Pike North.
okay. Thank you. And this is split between District 6 and 7, correct?
I would need to go back and check. The second part of yes, this is split between 6 and 7. Essentially, a good rule of thumb is anywhere we go east of where we currently sit, we'll go into District 6 because we are the far eastern, or part of the far eastern boundary of District 7.
That's that area where they park in the grass. They do. I'm sure you've all seen that. They do that.
Oh,
Yeah, on that side.
Any other questions from the commission?
what would, I'm looking at Mount Calvary and McNamara. Just curious, what would be, how would we navigate incorporating those they're private properties, one is they're both the Archdiocese? How do we navigate that?
The best way to navigate that is by a cooperative or opt-in process. So in the same way you would go to a potential future resident and say, here's the value proposition for you opting into the city. The same applies to businesses, civic organizations, et cetera. You could liken it to, say, if we were looking at annexing North Forestville Elementary School site. Yeah. You wouldn't necessarily go to the school principal, you would go to the school board. So with those, it's a little more difficult.
It is.
However, I would go back to say, if you have a value proposition, there's an impetus to enhance into the city. Particularly for organizations that are actively looking for that value proposition and actively looking for ways to improve.
But then also they want to make sure that it doesn't, be an annex and doesn't, take away their ability to get grant opportunities. through the Church. So that could be a long time on there.
Yeah,
We just have to do it.
and it may well be that they're not ready for another 10, 15 years, and that's okay, because this is a long range. And as I think Commissioner Tillman pointed out previously, we're looking to spot fill in within this broader plan, right, where it makes sense. So yes, they fall into this area, but are they realistic in the short term? No.
Any other questions?
I'm just wondering, what decision are we making on these parcels? Or these growth areas?
So the decision that I'm looking for to begin with is for you to, as a governing body, really coalesce around the big picture growth plan for the city. Just for ease of conversation, I've divided that growth area up into 4 discussion areas for you to really sink your teeth into, set the boundaries on, ask questions about, so that we can head toward adopting an overall municipal growth area. So what you have in front of you or on the table right now is limited to this triangle here, growth area. Motion in packet. The first motion, number 1, is adopting a version of growth area A. The version found in figure 2, which is the originally proposed version, or the slightly reduced version found in figure 3. That's the first decision point of the table. The areas that you see subdivided as figures 4A, 4B, 4C, et cetera, are just subdivisions of growth area A for discussion.
Sure.
Okay, thank you for clarifying, Mr. Street, I understand now. At this point, I think I'm in favor with moving forward with Inner Pike alternative, figure 3. This one where we've just gone over, each of these sections. We did talk about last time, putting some connectivity through those streets that were cut off, which we're definitely doing with this, so we're just sort of making this whole map line, so to speak. And I think this is a good targeted strategy as a starting point. Understanding that, we can continue to move east or, even across the street from Marlboro Pike, but I think this would be a good start for us to try to get rid of those streets that are disconnected, and bring forward a few more neighborhoods as we start out.
And if it's the commission's pleasure, we can certainly bring that part of the discussion back again with our economic development team and bodies.
So are we gonna do a motion or are we gonna read or take a discussion?
Can you comment?
Sure.
I actually kind of agree with Commissioner Gomez there. I think that, that alternative version definitely sounds like a great starting point, because we can kind of just fill in the gaps, as I said in the last meeting. And doesn't really go into a more detailed plan to kind of take over my role, like I was saying. with the people that really kind of, until we get more insidious, kind of lure them in. And I think right now, we need to just pretty much focus on the short term, and that's like a reasonable short term plan for now, until we,
So that's figure 3, the Interpike alternative.
figure two. Oh, no, figure three, yeah.
Figure 3,
Interpike.
okay, so.
It's helpful. What I would do for next steps, if the commission were to adopt figure 3, the Interpike alternative, was that I would start running actual fiscal analysis on those areas to say, here's what the approximate cost per resident would be. Here's how much of that cost is defrayed by some of this commercial development. Here's what the overall cost for service would be to expand city services into that area. What I need before I do all that is the definition of the growth area.
You said you need a definition of the growth area.
So us agreeing on moving forward with, Interpike alternative would be that defined growth area.
Correct.
So we're ready to do a motion.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Gomez.
I, Commissioner Gomez, move that the city commission adopt municipal growth area A, Interpike alternative, as shown in figure 3, and direct staff to conduct fiscal analysis of the cost for service delivery in that area.
Could I get a second?
Commissioner Thomas, second.
All in favor? Was there?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I'd like to go on to section 2, growth area B, outer Park. So I would direct your attention to figure 5. Again, this is a large chunk that I expect we will be subdividing in future meetings, but it represents the other side of the pike. So it is essentially Pennsylvania Avenue, Route 4 north to Marlboro Pike. There are some parts of the city that are already in this area, although they are few and far between. A good example is the Aldi, which sits on Regency, as well as some of the shopping centers as you get closer toward Silver Hill. This is encompassed in council districts 6 and 7. Again, moving east automatically brings us into District 6. Total is approximately 470 acres and consists approximately the southern portion of Marlboro Pike between Silver Hill Road and Ritchie Road. Obviously, the Ritchie Road component can be adjusted to align with what you've approved for growth area A. And we can bring that refinement back to the commission at a future meeting. It's characterized by a lot of commercial development, and specifically Great Easter Plaza, Penmar Shopping Center, Forestville Mall, as well as some civic institutions like Spalding Library. The zoning in the area, again, predominantly matches the development pattern that exists within the city with respect to the residentially zoned areas as well as the commercially zoned areas. Although, as I said before, it is much denser in the commercial space than the city is present. It incorporates approximately 8 linear miles of roadway, although some of that, mainly Marlboro Pike and Pennsylvania Avenue, are subject to state regulations. Again, assuming too that the city obviously annexed the right. This is approximately 3,000 residents, so fewer residents than the growth area A, although there were several hundred businesses that would be added into the city in this area. And again, most prominently, the shopping areas along. That is not to dismiss the residential areas. They are fairly substantive, although the commercial area very much is the focus.
Any questions from the commission?
Again, I just think that, you know, I mean, I can see the future of it, but I'm just thinking, you know, like, I don't think we're there as far as like the amenities, you know, the incentives and such. So, you know, I would personally like to just receive the growth plan, like a more detailed, you know, analysis of what that will be looking like as far as in the future, because, you know, that's a large chunk of Pennsylvania Avenue and that's our state. So, you know, that's a big leap. That's something, you know. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So you think that we should come back with our economic development consultant to kind of really give us that vision for there?
I don't think that would, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. I just want to emphasize that we are just having a discussion about potential areas we would like to expand to. You know, Commissioner Tillman, I definitely see your point of view in terms of we have a lot of work that has to be done right here where we live, and I think we are all aware of that. As we also can have conversations about what the future will look like for us. As Mr. Street mentioned prior, once we identify what these growth areas look like, then he will come back with a fiscal analysis. What does the dollars look like? What does the revenue look like? What service, you know, would it take for us to even expand to those areas? Because this would be a heavy lift. We also have to recognize that not all of these areas will opt in. That's just the reality of this, right? So this is just our North Star of what we would like to see, understanding that it could be 50% chance that these communities don't opt in to join us as a municipality. Well, now that's our job, right? To sell it and make sure that we have the value proposition as to why and really communicate that to the public. But we could be looking at these 8 miles and get 3 or 2. Right? I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but just to be on the conservative side. So I just wanna, remind us all here that we're just really having a discussion and thinking about things, but this is not concrete. This is not something that's going to go forward necessarily, but we do need to have a bit of a dreamer mindset, right? Of where we think we can see the city. Not where the city is right now, but where we want to be. We have to have a good balance of that as well. So I just wanted to add that. I did have one question. Does this include Longfield Elementary School?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Now, that does lead into a good response. So what I tried to do way back when we first drafted and talked through the concept of Figure 1 was I tried to pull in schools that are in our service area. So specifically North Forestville Elementary, and I think there's also a school somewhere in City. I tried to target the schools that were nearby and have a good number of District Heights residents attending them as students. So the 2 elementary schools are North Forestville and District Heights Elementary that we currently send students to.
Any other questions? And if there aren't any, we have a motion.
I just have a quick comment. Once again, you know, I am a dreamer, but I'm realistic. And, you know, I'm definitely just trying to, you know, just come up with a reasonable way to kind of, you know, get us on the right path, but more, you know, just trying to, you know, think about what's realistic and what's not. So, you know, I do agree with, you know, Commissioner Gomez on just like what we can happen. But, you know, I'm focusing on the now and what we can do. You know, I'm waiting to finally see a full force police department, you know, before, you know, that's what I'm thinking in the future, you know, so, you know, this is great, but right now I'm just focusing on what's happening to
And it may be worth the commission's time to see, I have the western area here near Old Silver Hill Road pulled up, it may be worth the commission's time to dive in to this area, because again, it is an area that is kind of halfway split between city and not for somewhat arbitrary reasons. For example, on Regency, we have about a third of a shopping center. We take some of the commercial corridor, but not all of it. So it may be worth a deeper dive in those areas and then returning with our consultants for the rest of that at a future, if that's the commission's pleasure.
And then on Regency Parkway, we have St. Paul
Correct.
has that 8 acres that's already in the incorporated city.
Correct.
So is it the pleasure of the commission to table this for more discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
So could I get a motion to table the discussion on the municipal growth area outer pipe as shown in figure 5?
County Commission to move that the city commission table the municipal growth area deep out of the pike as shown in figure out to a further work session.
Could I get a second?
Commissioner Chair, for a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0, motion carries to table. Okay.
Can I just make a comment, please?
Sure.
We're tabling this issue. I'm hoping that we're not going to table it too long. I think that it's important for us to be looking at areas of growth. We're not going to be making a decision on this immediately, but we need to start the conversation, we need to start this discussion. This is going to be years out, and I think that we need to get started with making things happen. I just don't want us to table this and come back to it. And I've seen it in the past. I've seen conversations about annexing from 2018, and here we are in 2023, and we're no further along. And so I just don't want us to not move forward with making some decisions on this.
We'll, as soon as the subdivision analysis for the 2 areas where we already exist in that potential growth area already, we'll return to a work session. That would be before the end of the year. It will also accompany the high-level discussion for growth area C, which is currently DPAS.
Okay, we got the work cut out for us. The next agenda item is the pay parity uniform pay plan and implementation plan.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. At the September 26th work session, you made a number of key decisions with respect to compensation for uniformed or law enforcement officers in the city, and really took some bold stances to prioritize them. For example, you set our target recruitment area as the entirety of the Mid-Atlantic. That's a number of states that we're going to try and draw top-tier officers from. You have set the target market for compensation for the department as the Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. market, so the most competitive market that you could choose to exist in. And you have set the target percentage of market for compensation at 110%. So you're saying we really want to try and draw in the best and brightest to the District Heights Police Department. What you did at the end of that work session was directed us to return to you with jobs, grades, and a salary schedule for implementation. What you see in Table 1 are the proposed jobs and grades, as well as salary spread across the range. This table or this job structure provides two things. It splits our regular patrol officer positions into patrol officer 1 and patrol officer 2. So a relatively inexperienced officer and a much more experienced officer. The idea there is that we're giving people who want to come work here a career path upward from officer 1 all the way up to corporal 2 and into the supervisory range sergeant above. Table 2 creates the step and grade system for the uniform positions. This assumes a 20-year maximum career in a specific grade. We are hoping you will choose to progress with the city, so you will be making your way diagonally through this table as your tenure increases. So there are 9 steps, each of which is represented by 2 years of service and separated by about 2.5% to 3.5%, depending on where you land on the range. There is a single grade position, P0, for academy recruits. So we're going to bring you in and turn you directly around and send you to the academy. Upon completion of the academy, you go directly into P1 sector and become a certified law enforcement service. Also note that I have excluded the chief's position from the step and grade. Upon looking at the structure of the organization, I would like to bring that position back with 1 or 2 others for executive grade classification. But this handles everything from lieutenant or deputy chief on down. Last thing you asked me to do was go ahead and draft an implementation process to slot current employees into the grade. This is done by a relatively simple mathematic formula. So we're taking, to convert to your step, we're taking your grade or rank for what it is. So if you're a corporal, you're slotted into the corporal rank. If you're a sergeant, you're a sergeant, you slot into the sergeant grades. But to calculate your step, what we're doing is taking your total years of service in a prior grade. So say you have 10 years of service in the prior grade, multiplying it by half. So you get 5 years of credit for your service in the lower grade in the new grade. And then say you've been in your current grade for 2 years, that's 7 total years divided by 2 gets you your step. So that's somewhere between step 3 and 4. So what that tries to do is credit people for the service that they've done so far, but also trying to place them on the steps so that they still have a lot of progression that they can make over the course of their careers. That is the broad strokes of the pay plan and implementation process. And before I talk about fiscal impacts, are there any questions?
Fiscal impacts.
All right, fiscal impacts. Not bad. So for the remainder of FY24, for the positions that we have right now, so that's all of our staffed positions that we have to do pay adjustments for through the end of the year, the total impact is about $61,000. So it takes up about a fifth of your total pay parity chunk that we have in the FY24 budget, organization-wide, which if you look at the size of the police department is about.
So, the pay parity was that in the opera funds?
Yes. So thank you for asking that question. So the impact that you see in table 3 is absorbed through ARPA funding this fiscal year and will become more or less baked into the operating budget for the upcoming fiscal year.
The future goal is have the annexation done and we'll be able to support all these salaries. So we have to really work at work.
Well, there, if I may, there are a couple of other things we're doing to offset the cost of salaries. Chief Tarpley is bringing on a number of new speed enforcement cameras, the revenue from which we can turn around and offset the cost of positions, officer salaries, et cetera. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's nodding, so I'm correct.
Okay.
We're also probably about due for a look at our fines and fee structures. It has been quite a while since they have been reviewed. We can also use those to offset the cost for services, say if we're in county vehicle or otherwise. So I say all of that to say, we're consciously trying not to land this all on the property tax. Fortunately for FY '24 and potentially for some of FY '25, we will be able to defray that with ARPA dollars. But the way that we're gonna try and build it into the FY '25 budget limits the reliance on that one time.
Any questions from the commission?
One quick question.
Sure.
So, I guess overall with the uniform and ununiform, do you think, I guess the physical impact gonna be, we gonna need more or based off of where we're going right now?
I think it would be in budget.
Okay.
So you allocated a total of $500,000 in the fiscal year to basically accelerate those adjustments. This lands about where I would expect the police department to land, maybe a little over, maybe a little under, depending on, how the math shakes out on everybody. But I don't anticipate right now running into a problem for the rest of the organization with respect to the budget.
Because when I think about the police department budget, we still have in there the full 12. Is that what we budgeted? So we still, okay, yeah, we still have.
If you look at them, if you look at the uniform positions, they are a little less than a quarter of the total workforce. This is coming in at a little less than a quarter of the total budget. So I think, depending what comes back and what direction you might give with respect to market and percentage of market, we will be fine.
Yes, I'm all for it. We need a full force department and, that's a big priority for the city. So I'm for whatever we need to do to make that happen.
Okay, well, we do have a draft motion if there aren't any other questions from the commission. So if someone wants to take that to that.
Commissioner Gomez moved that the city commission adopt the police step and grade system provided as tables 1 and 2 and direct the city manager to implement the new pay plan as described in figure 1 and table 3 beginning in November 2023.
Could I get a second?
Commissioner.
I, Commissioner Janifer, second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Okay. I think that's it, right? Unless you all want to make up something that we can talk about. Okay, any, announcements or comments from the commission?
Yes.
Yes, Commissioner.
I want to give a thanks to my friend and of course our councilmember, Crystal Oriata, on her new baby, Ezra. So congratulations, and we at District Heights are, wishing you the best in your new motherhood position, and of course, the city, we sent some great flowers to you, and we hope you love them. Thank you for everything that you do, and you and the whole council.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, I've seen the baby on Facebook, so congratulations.
Any other, announcements or comments? So we have, Fall Festival this weekend. Who has the information? 12 to 4.
So this Saturday, right here at District Heights Recreation Department, we have our fall festival. It's from 12 to 4 p.m. And of course, on Tuesday, which is Halloween, we have trunk or treat at Woodland Springs at the rental office, in front of the rental office. And of course, our amazing police department will be there, recreation will be there, we will be representing the city and giving away candy to everybody in attendance. So free candy, a lot of great things. Of course, not sure if we're doing the costume, the contest for the. We have to defer to Jeff for that, make sure that that's happening. But I think everything else is really good. Of course, I did see, and I know Commissioner Gomez might know about this, but I think we have another sustainability committee meeting coming up on October the 30th.
I don't know.
Yes, so I think I did see a flyer for the sustainability committee. I know they have another listening to share on October the 30th. If I'm not mistaken. But please visit the website, districtheights.org, for more information on that, on just the details of that.
And I will also mention that Terry Spate, the co-chair of the Sustainability Garden, will be hosting another fall workshop this Sunday, right here in the chambers, and that will be on how to sow garlic over winter. So if you have any interest in that, please come out. I think it starts at 2 p.m.
Okay, I think I have a lot going on this weekend. Anything else? Okay. Well, could I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Our Commissioner Jennifer, move that we adjourn the work session meeting tonight.
Could I get a second?
Commissioner Sumner, so moved.
All in favor? We're just gonna keep it moving. Our meeting has been adjourned. Thank you.
Just